Hi everyone, Aiden here with etrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at the RockyMounts AfterParty Swing Away bike rack on the back of our 2022 GMC Sierra 1500. Now this is a platform style bike rack and it holds the bike in these trays and by both tires. With it being a dual wheel mount here, we don't have to worry about any sort of frame contact, making it good for carbon frame and alternative frame bikes. And with a 60-pound weight capacity per bike, it's going to be good for some e-bikes too. Now, like the name suggests, this is a swing away bike rack. Those aren't as common out in the wild, but what that means is if we go underneath the bike rack, we've got a hand knob that we can start to loosen here. And what that will do is let the whole bike rack swing away a full 180 degrees away from the vehicle. So as I loosen this, it'll eventually fully release. And there's a pin right behind that I can pull up to release the arm. And you can kind of see what's happening here. It'll rotate out, that first pin will snap back in, and then right at the joint by our exhaust, another pin will snap in right there, locking it in place, swung out like this. Where that comes in really handy is with our trucks because it lets us open up the tailgate for full clearance into the bed. So whether you need to get stuff in or out, or we just want to have a place to sit down, maybe change our shoes, have a snack, and just hang out before or after our ride. Or maybe we're out camping and we want to leave this swung out so we have easy access in and out of the bed. We can do that. Now with this, you can see that we have the multi-pro tailgate. I would not recommend using that when it's swung out like this because you're just not going to have clearance underneath here for it. So just keep that in mind if you have that option on your truck. Getting it swung back in, there's that inner pin that we want to release first, pulling up on it and then moving the bike rack in. And then there's another pin right down here that I'll pull to release that. And around this point, I like to switch sides and we can just push the rest of the bike rack back in. You can see that while it was swung out, we had plenty of clearance with the side of the truck. And then once that pin snaps back in the storage position, we can thread that hand knob back in place to get it fully secured. Now, one thing I really like about it is that even though there's a lot of points for movement, all of them are very solid. Something you might be thinking to yourself is that swing away is great, but what if I just need quick and easy access into my bed? It does also have a tilt away feature. That handle right underneath at the end here can be squeezed and tilt the whole rack down with bikes loaded. It tilts down pretty aggressively, and same thing here. We can open up the tailgate for access to our bed. Now, I will say it's very close, but it does clear without touching the bike rack at all. I'd say at its closest point, working with probably less than half an inch. So for some people, that might be a little too close for comfort. But if you need to get something out, whether it be a cooler or your helmets or throw something back in, you can at least do that and you don't have to worry about holding the tailgate open while you're doing it. Lifting it back into place, just lift up and that handle will snap in. Just like that, you can kind of hear it click, letting us know it's locked in and ready to drive. At this point, I'll get the bike unloaded by flipping up the blue levers at the base of the tray on both sides. That disengages the ratcheting mechanism and allows us to just push the arms out and away as far as we need. That's something about the AfterParty I like quite a bit because those arms are just very easy to operate. And then from here, we can just put the arms back down, flip that lever, and that keeps them locked down. If we were loading up our bike, we'd flip that lever and then just bring it in. And you can see wherever it starts to meet the tire, it ratchets down and secures. At this point, let's get some measurements. From the ground to the end, the lowest point of the bike rack at the end here, we're going to be working with a pretty impressive 29 inches of ground clearance. That's at the bottom of the handle right here. Ground clearance is not something we're going to have to worry about here on our Sierra because of how far up it comes. You can see what also helps that is the staggered design for the trays here, which puts the rear bike quite a bit higher than the front bike It gives us better clearance, but it also helps with bike-to-bike contact. For the furthest out point from the bumper of the vehicle out to the end of the rack is going to be 31.5 inches. So it does stick out a fair bit on an already longer vehicle, but if we want to leave it in the hitch between rides, we can come to that same handle we used before, give it a pull, and fold it up against the vehicle. Now this is going to reduce our distance added by quite a bit, cutting it down to only 17 inches, and that's at the end of the handle right here. So it does save a lot of space for things like parking spots or your driveway at home. For the closest point to the vehicle, it's probably right here at the very end, and you're working with 5.5 inches between the bumper and the tray. More than enough room for good clearance, and with very little to really no shake at all at that pivot point, I'm not worried about vehicle contact. I will mention that with it folded up like this, we're pretty much completely blocking our license plate, but we don't block our taillights, and with our backup camera here, we still have a good amount of room to see above the bike rack. So just some things to keep in mind if you plan on keeping this in your hitch long term. Moving on in towards the hitch, it's going to be working with our 2" by 2" receiver tube, and it comes with a locking anti-rattle bolt. The anti-rattle keeps things nice and solid in the hitch, and that lock keeps things secure. That lock is key-like to a lock at the top of the bike rack, or it's folded out at the very end, which can lock up the included chain. That chain is used to secure our bikes when we're not around, so you don't have to worry about people messing with them. And overall, the AfterParty is a very solid rack. It's a very premium one with lots of nice convenient features. It works with a wide range of bikes, and if you're looking for something that works really well with the tailgate and with your Sierra, then I think this is a really good option. Thanks for watching.